Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome over here to the first ever Dascar Rally Championship stage and season as well. We are here for season number 1 in 2016 here on Ziggo Sports. We are here for the first stage, the opening stage of this championship of this season. So 20 drivers have signed up. Thank you very much to those 20 drivers, and they are going to come on the racetrack in completely random order, followed one by another. In a couple of moments we'll get to the highlights of every run for every driver, because of course we're gonna do it by highlights and not showing the full stage, because that will make a video which is really long, and highlights are more exciting, I think. So that is of course going to be for this stage. The next few stages will be, the starting order will be determined by how the times that the driver will set. So the person who has the fastest time in either the first stage or combined times will be starting first, and the slowest time will be will start in last. That way, there will be no advantage concerning experience on the racetrack for me, and also of course this track sweeping. So the person who comes on track first has the dirtiest track of all, and the person who comes on last has the cleanest track. This is also how they do it in real life. So yeah, in that way. If you crash and cannot get back to the line, you are out of the championship. So we will probably see that with a couple of drivers throughout this series, because these stages are pretty mean. We are at the Dakar Rally in Argentina starting today, and we will go through the Andes Mountains to Chile, which will be, or Chile I should say. That is where we will have the final stage, and those stages are really tough on these cars, and you're gonna see that in this stage already, and where it's gonna be even worse in the next few stages. So ladies and gentlemen, brace up. We're gonna get to this, the order in which these drivers will start, and we will get this run underway. So as we take a look at our entry list, we see that Joseph and Nestor is the first one to be on the racetrack. After that will be Sven Meyer. So we see a couple of regulars like Joshua Michael, see a couple of returning drivers, Mitch Brett, for instance, Zachary Fitzwater, and DJ Kirk, one of the rookies, together with Nikki Maxwell and a couple of other drivers. So we have all different persons on the racetrack concerning their experience. So let's see how the first racer will do. Joseph Ernesto, of course, former Dascar president. He had a Dascar series, and he has been in Dascar for a very long time. But it's the first time that he is on the racetrack in a rally car, in one of my series at least. Has been in the GRC of Joshua Michaels, but very loose going into turn number 1. And wow, look at him saving that car. Was a good save, but he definitely lost quite a lot of time over there. And so we now get onto our bump section. A couple of bumps, and Joseph Nestor once again gets to lose. This, by the way, is a car he painted himself. So great looking car. As you can see him, wow, really wild over those bumps, and once again getting very loose. And so far Joseph Nestor's run has been, he is the first one on the racetrack, so it's always a little bit difficult to see how the track is like. So far, this was a pretty good turn. He does get loose on the exit of the treasure's turn. That's how we call it, because it is a very difficult turn. Last section on the racetrack. Joseph Nestor once again gets loose and goes off the racetrack. And eventually, when he comes around, it will be a pretty, somewhat decent time for a person who's first on the racetrack. It will be a 5:06.79, which will of course put him first on the boards yet, but still, we're gonna see times much faster than that. Next on is the number 28, Sven Meyer, the German development driver, I think, of John Ciudadino's team. And Sven Meyer, don't know where he comes from. First time he has been in one of my series. So going into turn number 1, where we saw Joseph Nestor getting very loose, and Sven Meyer also gets loose, but then in the second part of turn number 1. And here he continues on excuse me. At least this racetrack is based on the Le Mans racetrack. As we take a look at this slow-mo, look at these bumps, how aggressive these drivers go over the bump and onto the front of the car. Well, if you take these bumps really hard, if you take them with full speed, you're definitely going to damage your car. Listen to this though, bang. And that is also a part which you will see come back more often. Sven Meyer damaging his car a little bit over that bump. At least that is what we feel. And we don't know what it is. It could be a bump, but it could also be some rocks on the racetrack. So Sven Meyer coming back around, and it could be that he has some damage to his car as he puts down a 5:08.68. So that means he's slower than Joseph Ernesto, while he was calmer. So next on racetrack, Barbara Sophia, number 21, the Czech Republic driver from Daniel Voyles' development team. And also, this is the first time we see a Ford on the racetrack. Going through turn number 1, it is a lot better than the previous two drivers. Look at how smooth it goes. A little bit of slide going into the turn. Now coming onto underneath a bridge over there. A little bit wide. Next turn is where we saw good drives go wide. Over the bump, a big jump for Barbara Sophie. And once again, you really have to take care of the bumps. These drivers even brake before the bumps, because if you go over full time, you will go flying, and there the nose goes in. That's also not good for the car when you land on the rear of the car. A little bit too aggressive over the other bump. Well, somewhat halfway through this part. Look at this turn. Big drift for Barbara Sophie. That's something we've seen more often, but she almost slams the wall, so that is a little bit too much of a drift. But still, Barbara Sophie continues with a pretty decent lap time. And even though she had a couple of moments, she really nailed this one, at least for her part. And she puts down a 5:03.74, which means top of the board for Barbara Sophie for now. More than 3 seconds faster than Joseph Ernesto. So next on racetrack, number 33, Joshua Michaels, also a Dascar president. Also had a lot of smoke over there with this at the start, and he will have a couple of slides in this first part. But so far, turn number 1 and 2 will go decent. Big jump over here as well. Gets loose over the jump as well. And there's another one over here. Look at this. Bam. Big air. It looks very spectacular, but I think the car is not very satisfied with that. No, he slides wide through the chicane over there. A little bit of time lost, but still pretty decent. Now, remember the drifting part I said a couple of moments ago. Look at this. You go first from the dirt, you go onto the asphalt, and that is where you can really drift onto that dirt. And well, as soon as you come onto the asphalt, you really have to save the car, otherwise you will end up in the tire barrier, which we see in test races before. The treacherous turn where Joseph Nestor spun has also caught out Joshua Michaels. And he had a couple of more of these type of slides near the end. And eventually, as he comes over the line, he will put down a 5:03.77, which is just 0.03 of a second slower than Barbara Sophie. 0.03 seconds slower. So great run for Joshua Michaels. John Arndt is the next one on the racetrack in the number 1 Citroen. He also had a little bit of a difficult getaway over there, and he will have multiple slides. It seems like this part is a part where, as he cuts that corner a little bit, that part is the part where the Citroens are struggling a bit. Goes wide through this part of the racetrack as well, and over the jumps he will go. And he gets loose once again. So this car, he said, very loose. He had a couple of, well, as said, he had a couple of these slides, and that definitely lost him some more time. There he cuts the corner a little bit too early, and he goes sliding through the next part. Big drift for him, yes indeed, as he continues his run. Still, even though he had a couple of slides, this run was very good for him. And as he comes through the last chicane and he comes over the line, he will put down a 02.04, which is more than 1.5 seconds faster than Barbara Sophie. So top of the board for John Arndt. Next up is number 24 of Mitch Bretz. So a driver we've also seen very often. He was in some series before of mine. Then he was back and now he makes his return again. And also in the Dascar Rally Championship. Through turn number 1. A little bit of a slide. But that isn't too bad. Now take a look at this jump. Another slow-mo. And what a high flyer for Mitch Bretz. And that landing then. Oh, that's a tough one. And he will get a little bit loose. If you have to get these bumps as straight as possible. And even though he had that big moment over the jump and a little bit loose in turn number 1, and here as well, he had a pretty good first bit. And he will continue racing pretty fast as he goes onto a long stretch. This is the spot where John Ciudadino damaged his car. And these drivers are now taking it more careful around that on that spot. Big drift from Mitch Bretz once again, beautiful one as well. And as he will come through the last chicane, he had a great run, but it will not be good enough for top spot. A 5:03.10, which will put him in second place. A second slower though than John Arndt, so pretty good run. Next up is number 32 of Cody Smart. A little bit of wheel spin over there, and well, Cody Smart. Cody Smart has been pretty new to our league, so it's great to have him in, and he's driving one of my favorite cars of the field. Goes a little bit wide through turn 1, but overall it was a very smooth section for him. Also over here through that part of the racetrack. And look at this, very wide out of the chicane, almost takes out a couple of track marshals over there. It barely went right, and it was a fast part for him. Through the treacherous turn, cuts it very cleanly. Now you have to be slow on the gas a little bit, otherwise your car will spin around. And well, he was a little bit wide there though, and also here he runs wide, really wide though, off the racetrack even. But eventually Cody Smart, as he continues, he has done a very good time and runs wide here and there, but still he keeps the speed in his car. And as he comes through the last chicane, Cody Smart will put down the fast lap time of the fastest lap time so far, 4:59.43, which he's the first one to break the 5-minute mark. So a very fast lap time for Cody Smart. Next up, DJ Kirker, also a rookie, the Canadian, and we know him from different series, and it's great to have him in the Dascar Rally Championship. First time he's been in one of my series, so. Through the first turns, and a little bit difficult over there. As we got over here the turn where a lot of drivers ran wide, and he is also one of them, DJ Kirker. Now big jump over here, and he will continue to push hard over those jumps. He knows that he just wants to, let's see. Nah, that was pretty clean. Now through the treacherous turn he gets loose big time, but eventually he lost a little bit of ground. He goes wide there, but at least he doesn't slam into the wall, so that's a good thing. But now listen to this. Bang! Exactly the same parts where John Ciudadino ran over the bump, except for that DJ Kirker damaged his engine in this thing. Absolutely destroyed his engine, and you can see the smoke coming off his car, and that means pretty much good run over. It is not going to happen for DJ Kirk, so he just has to bring it home, and if he can bring it home then he will be able to continue, but he will have a big deficit. Here he comes across the line, so he will continue racing, but a 5:22.93 will put him dead last. Very far behind, so he parks the car right next to the marshals so they can extinguish some fires which are still on. Not a good run for DJ Kirker, but at least he's still in the race. Zachary Fitzwater is up next in the number 39 car, in his Citroen, and we know that the Citroens are a little bit loose going through turn number 1 especially. How is it for Zachary Fitzwater? That's the question. The Australian. Yeah, a little bit wide, and through the gravel indeed. Zachary Fitzwater also runs wide. Now through one of the chicanes, he gets even more loose and he will go into the gravel, so that's even more time lost for Zachary Fitzwater. He had to push hard to get some time back. Look at that jump, landing on the rear tires, really pushing hard to make up some time and he lost, and he goes wide again. So not the best strategy. You see some drivers are very smooth, some are very aggressive. Zachary Fitzwater is one of the more aggressive ones, and it did not really pay off for him as he continues to run wide a couple of occasions. Now the last part he does very, very good. He really is fast in this part, except for this slide. But still, the damage has already been done a little bit as he comes through the last chicane. He will come across the start-finish line there in a 5:07.84, which will put him currently 7th, which is, after 2 cars, the slowest of all. Number 25, Nikki Maxwell, another rookie in here. So the first time we see Nikki Maxwell in one of my series, so that's great. And a very calm start, not a lot of wheel spin over there, which might be pretty cool. Excuse me, still not 100% better. Nikki Maxwell, however, he does a very, very good job in that first section. Look at this. A little bit wide though. But apart from this move, he is very, very smooth. And look at this. Oh no, he runs wide through the chicane. Exactly the same thing as what Zachary Fitzwater happened. So he knows that he lost quite a lot of time in this deal. So he has to make up some more time. Big jump over here, but at least he nails it. And no damage done to his engine over the bump or the rock, which could be possible. There are some rocks in the way there as well. Oh, a little bit wide here, but he continues driving and pushing hard. Now look at this commitment. A little bit too wide, a little bit too short through that turn, and the outside turn then will prove him to be, a little bit too wide or too short then. A little bit more sliding through the chicanes, and eventually Nikki Maxwell, as he comes across start-finish line, it will be a 5:05.30, so not a very fast time either. Faster than Zachary Fitzwater, but that big slide in the chicane really lost him quite a lot of time. Next up, 11th driver already, Nathaniel Gay in the number 4 car, as he and his, another very beautiful Citroen tackles the racetrack. He has been gone for a while, but he is back again in Dascar. Through the first section we can hear the car wheel hopping, and he goes a little bit wide, but he still keeps his car on the racetrack. Not this time though, and he goes really wide through that turn. That's, I think, one of the widest moves we've seen. Now over the bump, bang, landing on the front. That is not good for the car, but he continues his way. And as long as he doesn't damage his car significantly, it will be fine. And as he continues his run, it was pretty calm, pretty collective. It runs a little bit wide here, but overall, pretty good run for Nathaniel Gay. As he comes across start-finish line through the last chicane, he will put down a 5:02.06. That means that he is 3rd place and is just 0.04 seconds faster than John Artz. So good run for Nathaniel Gay, as Assunnah course is next up on the racetrack in her Red Bull Ford. And Assunnah course took the more aggressive approach. For on one hand she wanted to keep it a little bit calm. On the other hand, she eventually were a little bit more aggressive. Let's take a look at this. That was pretty calm, but we know that over the jumps she was very, very aggressive. There, big air for her, and gets loose as well. That's a big lose for her, but still, pushing hard. Now listen. Bang. A little bit of damage done to her on that bump or rock, whatever it is. But luckily for her, not as significant as that DJ Kirk had. And she will continue pushing very, very hard. And look at this commitment. Whammo! That's a fast section. Now the last section was very clean for her, except for that part maybe, but as she comes to start finish line, she will put down a 5:01.27. That means second time for her for now. But her car has a little bit of damage, so Emmanuel Hartnett is next in number 93 car. In the, I think the first or the second Mitsubishi who's on the racetrack. There are only 3 Mitsubishis, so yeah, he's the second one after Nikki Maxwell. So number 93 car through turn number 1, and he said that his car was pretty loose. Look at this, also gets loose in that turn, which we don't often see. Now over the bump, flying high and landing on it still, and that's something which your car will definitely not like, and especially when you land it that way, just wheel hopping all over the place. Going through the treacherous turn, a little bit loose, a little bit wide, but he will continue and doesn't slam into the wall, so that's a good thing. Oh, through this turn, a little bit of slide, but last section was a bit smoother than the first section, and that means that the Emmanuel Hart will put down a 5:03.33, currently the 6th time, so pretty decent. Could have been faster, but it's still underneath the 5.05 mark, so that's good news. Gabriel Wanderley, the Brazilian driver, is up next in his Subaru, and he said that he has a lot of grip on the tarmac, so on the asphalt, but on the gravel he was very, very loose. Take a look at this. Ooh, that was a little bit wide though, but that's one of the few moments he had. Now on the gravel he was pretty loose. This is the first chicane through the bumpy section. And this is the second one. Oop, a little bit too wide. Oop, and almost into the gravel. He will continue his way. And over here through the treacherous turns, or the treacherous turn, it's only one of them. He will also run down a little bit too deep. But still, he will continue with full commitment. Look at him close to that mountain. He will run very, very hard, try to make up some time which he lost earlier due to some loose moments. And talking about commitment, there he goes, really, really wide, but he keeps on flooring it, and eventually as Gabriel Wanderley gets through the last section, pretty good, he will put down a 5:02.63. That means 5th time for him, so decent time for Gabriel Wanderley. He should be satisfied with that. Next up, Jerry Guerra in number 75 car. Jerry Guerra, also somebody which we know, which we've seen recently plenty of time in Dascar, and I think he came from John C. Dino's channel, so also good to have him in. This is also a little bit of driver introduction, so that's why I say all these. Through turn number 1, a little bit wide, but still he continues on, and he does it very, very fast. Jerry Guerra through this section, a little bit swirly, a little bit wide, but still he will continue pushing hard and running very fast until now. Bang! Car goes up in the air, and also Jerry Guerra damages his engine. There you can see the smoke billowing out of his car, and that means exactly the same thing as that DJ Kirk had. His time will be pretty much lost. He will continue though, pushing hard and cutting corners as much as possible, and of course as much as is allowed. Try to lose as less speed as possible. That's not good English, I know. But eventually Jerry Guerra, the damage has already been done. He will come across the start finish line with a 5:20.50. So that means 14th time. He is faster than DJ Kirker, but he has lost very much time on the leader. So not a good time for Jerry Guerra, as he also stops right next to the marshal post. Daniel Bocard is the next one. I think last of the Mitsubishis, the third of the Mitsubishis on racetrack. And Daniel Bocard is also a Canadian, so I think we have 2 Canadians in the field. Indeed, with DJ Kirker being the other one, we know what happened to him. Now, Daniel Bocard goes very, very wide through the gravel as well, through turns number 1 and 2. But he will knows that he lost a little bit of time, and therefore he goes flying through the air over the bumps. That's one tackled. Here's another one flying hard, and the third one, bang, and the fourth one, he really pushes hard over those bumps to try to make up the time he lost. And as we are on board, I'm sorry we haven't done this more often, but we will do so in the next race, or in the next stage. However, listen to this. Shift up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Indeed, Daniel Bocard destroyed his second gear, so that means that he had to continue in first with only the first and the third gear for the next part. Fourth gear is not used, and the first and the second gear are very critical. Listen, it seems like his engine is barely running, but he really had to do most of the things he usually does in second and third gear, and that means he's a lot slower. Big slide coming through the last part. At least that what you think he is a lot slower. But his time surprisingly proves different as he puts down a 5:04.59, which is the 10th time currently of the 16 drives that have been. So that's not even too bad for losing a second gear. So RJ Bishop up next in the number 98 car, and that means that we got another Subaru on the racetrack. So, two Subarus have already had a couple of issues, being DJ Kirk and Jerry Guerra. A couple of other Subarus have had pretty good runs as well, so there. Eventually, RJ Bishop, he had a couple of slides through the first part. Here's another one, but so far it has been pretty good. He goes beautifully through this chicane. Look at how smooth. That is exactly how you need to do this part, and he will definitely have won a lot of time. Over the jump, big time, but that was a nice landing, not too much on the front of the car, but now everything goes wrong for him. The treacherous turn catches out RJ Bishop as he slides around, and he will have to continue with a lot of time lost. Oh, but he cuts the corner a little bit too short, and it's over for RJ Bishop. Look at that left rear, really damaged a lot, and he's trying to get something running again. Let's take another look at this. First he spins into that wall, which is somewhat an invisible wall, we don't know, but as he tries to continue, he takes the corner a little bit too short, and there was something in the way over there, really weird looking incident, and maybe it could be a rock on the inside that damaged his suspension. On board with him, a little bit too wide as well. Catches on the white line, maybe a little bit of the gravel, but RJ Bishop tries to continue his way, and that is when everything goes wrong. And you can hear no power. Engine is dead. He's tried to do everything he can, but unfortunately the Dascar Rally Championship is already over for RJ Bishop after not even one round. So tough break. We will not see him back again in this series anymore. Aidan Shepherd is the next one in number 48 car. In what is, I think, actually Mitsubishi. So it could be possible that Emmanuel Hardnett was the first of the Mitsubishis to be on the racetrack. I don't know. There are four. I'm sorry, there are four, not three. Whoa, really loose through turns number 1 and 2. And he runs wide. He keeps it on track though. Look at this jump. Beautiful jump. But he had a couple of slides in the beginning, and those slides continued. He was pretty clean overall, except for those slides. And there he, takes that turn with a little bit more precaution, because he knows what happened to RJ Bishop a few moments ago, running in the wall, and something you don't want is running into walls. So very clean last section, a very strong one, and he will put down a 5:04.64, which is a little bit disappointing, not what we had expected after his great run. So we don't know why he lost that much time, but time proves that he is 11th currently. Next up is Sebastian Taurus, another rookie in the number 40 Ford, the Pepsi Ford, and he had a pretty good run going, but take a look at what happens in a couple of moments. First turn, a little bit wide, but still pretty clean. Now it is underneath that Dunlop bridge. He goes through the gravel, loses control of the car, continues his way, but he lost the back end of the car a little bit. However, Sebastian Taurus, we don't know where he comes from, but he is very fast over the jump. He continues. His car has a lot of grip. It lands on the back of the car a little bit. Look at this section. That one nailed. And this one as well. A little bit of a slide. But still, he continues. Very strong. Big drift for Sebastian Taurus over here. But, well, we saw a couple of moments. As he comes across the start finish line, he will put down a 5:00.85, which is currently the second time with only one driver left. So a very, very good time for him. And next up, sorry, I didn't put down the name. Actually, I will put it down now. Dodd is next up in the number 8 car. So the last driver on the racetrack, the last driver of today in his own custom-made car. So very smooth through the first turn. This is exactly how you need to do it. That exactly, it looks slow, but well, when you go flying through that, you really lose a lot more time. Now over the bump, bang, pretty aggressive, but still very clean. But here we go again. Listen, bang. Luckily for him, we don't see any smoke coming out of his car. We know that there is a little bit of damage to his car. We see it to the rear of his car, but it is not as bad as DJ Kirk and Guerra had. Whoa, big lose over there, through the drifting points. And eventually, as he comes across the start-finish line, it would have been a very good time if it wasn't for his big jump and a little bit of damage. Dodd, a 5:05.09 will put him in 13th position. A little bit of a disappointment. So let's take a look at the standings after stage number 1. We see that Cody Smart is up top of the board. The only driver to go underneath the 5 minutes, but look behind there. 5:00, 01, 02, 02, 02, 03, 03, 03, and so on. Very, very close. The gaps are... Everybody's very close towards each other except for the final 4 drivers, final 3 drivers, really. So a lot of work still has to be done for DJ Kirk in the number 75 car, and as well for Guerra. So that was it for this station, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. That means we are going to be back within, well, let's say 2 weeks, with Cody Smart then, starting stage number 2. So he will be the first one on the racetrack, trying to stay in front of everybody else. He has a gap of 1.4 seconds. So let's see if he can keep it or if he loses that gap. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time with the Dascar Rally Championship 2016 here on Zeo Sports.